Hey everybody, Moto Alonso here. Welcome back to the channel. The Harley Davidson Lowrider ST is one of Harley's best sellers and its most popular softail. Why is that? Let's take it for a spin and find out. We have a Harley Davidson Lowrider ST. Gorgeous motorcycle. This is from Harley's Softail line, and a very, very popular motorcycle. This is their best-selling Softail, as I mentioned in the intro, and one of their best-selling bikes behind their heavy touring bikes. Let's take a look at this thing. There is a lot to talk about. So the Lowrider S had been out for a number of years in a Dyna configuration, and then also as a Softail, of course. I believe in 2018, we went from Dynas to Lowrider S Softails. And then in 2022, Harley introduced this model, the Lowrider S, and there haven't been a lot of changes since 2022. We'll go into the slight changes that there have been. But the fairing is the big styling point here. This was modeled after the 1984, or inspired, not really modeled after, but inspired by the 1984 FXRT. So, a very unique fairing design. This fairing is a fixed piece of the motorcycle, not meant to be removed. Okay, a couple of changes for 2024. This color, this is called billiard gray, and it's been, I don't know, there's been a little controversy around the billiard gray. I know when it first came out, a couple of 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, everyone loved it. Everybody wanted billiard gray, and there was an upcharge for billiard gray. And the standard color was just black, you know, the vivid black. Well, Harley has switched that up a little bit. Now the billiard gray is the standard color. Get out of here, Mr. Spider. You're messing up our video. And if you want vivid black or another color, there's an upcharge for that. I had planned on coming here and hating on the billiard gray just a little bit because I've seen pictures of it. I mean, I really haven't paid too much attention to it when I'm at the dealerships. But now that I have this motorcycle in front of me, it's sharp. It really is. It's very light. It's almost like a chalky type of gray. You may have seen this color. I think Porsche makes some of their cars in this chalky type gray. Some of the German auto manufacturers. Anyhow, it's not like a gunship type gray. It's more of a chalky, whitish light gray, I guess is the best way for me to describe it, looking at it with my eyes. But it's sharp. I will say it's sharp, and it's sharp along with the gold trim that comes with the Lowrider family. So they're all offset by the old school Harley logo in gold, or bronze, the bronze trim, engine trim, the bronze wheels. All of some of the accessories are trimmed in bronze. We have the bronze bar and shield back here. So the bronze with the black, with the gray, I mean, it is a sharp motorcycle. I can't hate on it. It's nice looking. I like it. It might not be my first choice, but I like it. Okay, let's start from the front here and go backwards. We have the big fairing design, as we mentioned. We're going to test ride it and see how that works in the wind. It sure looks like it'll help. Inverted forks. We have twin discs in the front. That's nice. Very nice. 19-inch wheel in the front, 16-inch in the back. Moving backwards. This is the biggest motor now that Harley makes for its non-CVO bikes. And interesting that, I mean, you can get it in a Softail, which is tremendous. I mean, that is a big motor in the motorcycling world. 117 cubic inches is 1,923 cubic centimeters. So that's a big motor. That is a big motor. We're looking at 95-ish horsepower and 125-ish foot-pounds of torque. So we're getting to that 100 plus number just right from the factory. I mean, it's a lot. I have some experience with this 117 motor, and I love it. It's a great motor. Puts out a lot of power. It's very smooth. This is the Milwaukee 8. 117 V-twin, 1923 cc's. I mean, we're looking at almost 2 liters. My first car wasn't 2 liters. I think I had an old 1982 RX-7, which was gold, or bronze, by the way. And that little rotary engine, I want to say, was right around a liter. It wasn't very big, a liter or 1.2 liters. This is almost a 2-liter motorcycle engine, so really big motor. This bike has aftermarket exhaust on it. This is a Cobra system here. It looks like their version of the Vance & Hines Shorty exhaust. I'll start it up here in a minute and let you hear it. It sounds pretty good. These bags are a very beautiful design, very sleek. They go with the bike. If you look here, how the bags in the rear fender, it just flows. I mean, there's a lot of thought put into the design of these bags. These were first, or a version of these was first seen on the Sport Glide. And it's a clamshell type bag. I don't know if you can see in there. But you can hold a lot of stuff in there, definitely for a weekend. They lock. Not as much as the Tourers, but, you know, plenty of room for your stuff, in my opinion. LED lights on the front and back, but still we have the incandescent turn signals. 2024, we still have the incandescent turn signals, but hey, it is what it is. We do have the LED. That's nice. Stock solo seat. You can ride 2 up on these, of course, but you'd have to add your pillion and you'd have to add some pegs. But from the factory, these come as a solo. These come solo, set up for solo riding, is what I was trying to say. There's not adjustable suspension in the front, but you can adjust the rear suspension for preload. So you have a little bit of adjustment there. Also, there's a little more suspension travel in the Lowrider S and ST than in the touring bikes, which is nice. I've ridden them both. These ride a little bit better, I will say. What does that mean, a little bit better? It's still sporty and firm, but I can just tell they absorb the bumps a little bit better than, like, say, a road glide or a street glide special. 180 rubber in the back, so you got a big, fat, nice, meaty rear tire there. Let's throw a leg over and just take a look at the controls here, see what else we see. So, typical Harley setup. We have our horn, we have our brights, we have our left turn signal, standard cruise control on this Lowrider ST 2024. This bike this is a pre-owned bike at Dream Machines of Texas, but we got about 2,000 miles on this bike. And this is a little different setup than the standard Lowrider S in that our gauges are built into our handlebar clamp, which is interesting. Very minimalist, very sporty, and my not so great eyes can still see it. So that's a plus. I can still see the instrumentation. That's awesome. A lot of different warning lights here, our neutral indicator, our mileage, and using our button here, we can cycle through our trip meter, our range, time, which nobody ever sets, RPM. Yeah, and our little digital fuel gauge here. So that's nice. Over on the right, hazards, kill switch, start button, traction control. You can enable and disable that, and then our right turn signal. So these motorcycles come standard with ABS and traction control, but it is not the RDRS system that is on the big touring bikes. So this is the more basic, rudimentary, but still effective style of traction control and ABS. What that means is it's not lean sensitive, so the bike isn't tracking the lean angle as it does on the bigger touring bikes where you get the RDRS system. What would your shopping process be if you were looking for a Lowrider ST? Would you cross shop this against a Heritage Classic maybe? The Lowrider S probably? The touring bikes? But the touring bikes are going to be another at least $10,000. The Heritage is a great bike, but it has a removable fairing. It's a lot more traditional in its styling. You can get it chromed out. Very, very traditional styling. This is more of that West Coast club, sporty styling. I would call it. You know, we always use the term for a Harley, but no, it's definitely got the sportier styling than some of the more traditional looking Harleys. So I love it. I love the looks of it. Let's get on this thing, and we're going to gear up, and we're going to take this motorcycle for a ride and see what we think. Okay, we're all geared up here. Have all our safety gear on. Make a little quick camera adjustment here. There we go, a little bit of that. Kickstand up. Before we turn her on here, 27.3 inch seat height. So not super low, but definitely not a tall seat. You see I am flat footing easily on both sides. We have our proximity key in our saddlebag. So we'll flip our kill switch to the ignite position and then hit the starter. This bike sounds good. I have ridden a Lowrider S quite a bit, and the one I rode had these stock pipes on them. They are super quiet. They are huge mufflers, and they would be the same mufflers that would come from the factory on this bike, and they are so quiet you can't even hear them. So probably your first move if you were to buy one of these new would be to put new mufflers on it or a new exhaust system on it. Most people do that. Okay, kickstand up. I didn't mention the weight. We're looking at 720 something, 725 pounds, I believe, right in there. So not a heavyweight bike, but definitely not a lightweight bike. This is like your cruiserweight bike. Wasn't there a boxing weight class called cruiserweight? Maybe there still is. But not your middleweight, not your heavyweight. But you got plenty of motor to move that 725 pounds around, that's for sure. Very easy to maneuver low speeds here. We're just doing some simple figure eights here in our little parking lot. Getting used to the clutch and the throttle. Oh, it feels really nice. This thing's a beast though. If you want it to be a beast, it will be a beast. If you want to ride it docile, that's fine too. But these 117 motors are really amazing motors. Okay, we have risers. You see, I guess those are about 4-inch risers, 4.5-inch risers. And these flat bars, these flat track bars. Whoa! Get some! Woo! Oh, it's such a cool motor. Very cool motorcycle. Yeah, so flat track bars, and we have mid controls. Okay, this is the one thing about the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST that you'll hear people probably complain about the most is the mid controls. If you're a little bit more on the taller side like me, so for reference, I'm 6'1", it does take a little getting used to. My knees are a little bit above my hips, just a hair, which is, you know, you can feel that in your hips. Around town, it's fine, no big deal, but I don't know if I'd want to do 500 miles in this position. But this bike is designed, you know, to be a little sportier. So you have the mid controls, they're up off the ground to give you some better ground clearance. So I guess the point I was trying to make before we hit the stoplight there, and got caught in a little mini dust storm caused by the blowers, was, you know, mid controls, I'm 6'1", my knees are a little bit above my hips. If you're coming from a motorcycle that has forward controls, this is going to feel strange to you. I think it will feel just a little strange, and it'll take some getting used to. If you're, you know, maybe on the shorter inseam side, maybe you're like from 5'2 to 5'9-ish, 5'10", I don't think you'll be like, what are you talking about? It's perfectly comfortable. But for taller riders, this might be something you need to really think about and test ride and make sure it's comfortable for you before you sink $24,000 into one of these new. You know, I'm just rounding up, 24,000-ish. I think it's 23,399 is the 2024 MSRP. So a premium motorcycle offering from Harley Davidson. Another thing you'll hear Lowrider S and Lowrider ST riders complain about a little bit is the rear brake. So you know, I used to own the Lowrider S. It was a 2022. It was a great bike, really wonderful motorcycle. It's not the rear brake per se. It's the way the lever is adjusted from the factory. You can make an adjustment to your rear brake lever, and that'll help with some of the mushiness, because there is quite a bit of mushiness with that rear brake. But again, it's not the caliper, it's not the disc, it's just the way the lever comes from the factory, which is really strange. It's like you want to mash the brake and you're not getting any bite. There's no braking happening. But once you make that adjustment, it really helps. So if I'm gonna gripe, if you were looking for me to nitpick this thing, those would be the two things: foot pegs and the rear brake. The motor on this thing is outstanding. You're not going to hear any complaints from me on that. That 117 Milwaukee 8 is smooth, it's powerful, it pulls like a freight train. But if you want to just run errands on your Lowrider ST in town and go to the post office, grab some groceries, go to Blockbuster, I don't think you can do that anymore, but you know what I mean. If you're just around town, it's super docile if you ride it that way. But if you start getting some and getting up in the RPM range, hold on, because it pulls very, very strongly. It sounds really great. It's got a nice throttle feel without feeling twitchy or laggy. It just feels good to me. We got the standard Harley grips on here. Most people will switch those out, but those are the ones you get with the 2024 Lowrider ST. Let's get on the highway here and see what we think of the fairing, because the fairing is kind of the big thing on this bike that makes it different than the Lowrider S. So it's another $3,400 more expensive than the Lowrider S. But what you're getting is you're getting the fairing and you're getting the bags. So you got to decide if that's worth it to you. Boy, just the sound of that is worth it to me. Woo! This thing's a beast. Oh, love it. Okay, we're at 70 miles an hour we're still in 5th gear at 3,000 RPM. If I go to 6th gear, we're at 25, call it 2550. So just loping along here in 6th gear. Oh, I didn't mention, I usually mention at the beginning, 5-gallon tank. So these Milwaukee 8 117s, they get between 40 and 45 and even higher. If you ride them soft, ride them conservatively, you can get over 45 per gallon. So you can do the math there. You could tour on this bike 100%, no problem. It's just, are you going to be okay with the foot position for super long rides? it's got the range, and you've got the storage. And the fairing, guys, works great. Sorry, I didn't mention it back there. I was looking at the RPMs. But the fairing is keeping a lot of the wind blast off of me. Is it as good as a street glide or a road glide? No. But you know what it is better than is a, just a tombstone windshield on your Heritage. Or a tombstone windshield on your, your Indian Vintage or your Indian Chief. It's way better than that, but not quite as good as the wind protection on a street glide or a road glide. Still very good. Tiny instruments. I mean, I know that's a styling thing. It looks fabulous because it's so small and minimalist. You don't see a big gauge. But if I'm riding fast and there's a lot of stuff around me and there's a lot going on and I need to know something, personally, I just prefer to look down and see a big speedometer and a big tachometer, an analog. That's just kind of a personal riding preference, but no, it works great. I can see it fine. It's just, you know how it is when you get going and you just want to glance down real fast. I don't want to be looking for my vital information. So the ride is firm without being jarring. Let's see, here's a big pothole. Yeah, and it took that pretty good. So that extra suspension travel, I think, in the rear really helps these bikes. There's some good railroad tracks, and that wasn't too bad either. So, we just rode a Indian Scout Bobber 60, and man, that thing was hugging the ground. A lot different ride than this. I know they're two totally different motorcycles, but the point I'm trying to make is we got some decent suspension travel on this bike. And just the best sound. Oh man, it sounds so good. I just want to go, but we only got a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit in here, so we're going to be a very responsible rider. But oh, you just have so much power. Just twist to your wrist. The controls feel good. The clutch on all Harleys is, I wouldn't call it like heavy, but it's it's firm. I don't know how to describe it. It's firm. You got to have a decently strong clutch hand to work a Harley, I guess. This would be a really fun bike to take up to, like, say, the Sturgis Rally and ride from here up there, so you're just crushing interstate miles basically, and you have the wind protection, you have the big motor that's gonna just pull you along the interstate, no problem. You've got enough weight to keep you pretty stable on the interstate with all the trucks and what have you. But then when you get there, you unload all your stuff, and then you can have some fun, on the Needles Highway and Spearfish Canyon and all the areas around there because of all the twisty roads. This thing would be so much fun. This type of bike would be so much fun to take up there. Okay, we got our real world suspension test here. Ugh. This is not a good road. It does pretty well. Really, really strong brakes. That front brake is really great. Brembo brakes on these bikes. Man, I love the feel of this thing. Makes me miss my Lowrider S a little bit. Don't you miss every bike that you don't have anymore, though? A little bit? That was fun. I wish I could take this for an entire weekend. So there you go, guys. The 2024 Harley Davidson Lowrider ST. Would I buy this bike? 100%. I love it. I love this motorcycle. Give me mine in black, though, or that tobacco fade, which looks like an old Gibson guitar. Just gorgeous. But I love these type of motorcycles. You can tour on them. When you get to your destination, if you want to lose some of the luggage and lose some of the weight, and hit the twisties, you can do that and have a little fun too. It's got cruise control, great wind protection, just an outstanding motor. What's not to like? Lowrider ST. That's 5 stars right there. I am digging that one. And yeah, thanks again to my friends at Dream Machines of Texas for letting me take this wonderful motorcycle out for a little test ride. That was a lot of fun. Dream Machines, you see a couple of bikes here they've sold. A couple of Harleys there, but they have everything. They have baggers, they have cruisers, they have choppers, they have vintage, they have adventure bikes, they have sport bikes. There's even some EVs in there. I mean, they have literally everything, and we're going to test ride everything. So, located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they ship everywhere. So yeah, find your motorcycle of your dreams at Dream Machines of Texas. Thanks again, guys. Okay, until next time, guys. Keep it 2 down. Moto Alonzo. Out.